Hey guys, it's Melanie. Happy Friday and welcome back to another weekly beauty chit chat. If you are new around here, this video goes up most Fridays and it's just an opportunity for me to casually chit chat about all of the fun, frivolous, completely unnecessary beauty products that I was personally loving or obsessing about over the course of the past week. So in this video, I discuss makeup, skincare, hair care, body care, perfume. Again, fun things that you do not need in your life, but things that make life a little bit more enjoyable. So per usual, I have a little lineup of items that I want to share from this past week. I will list and link everything in the description box down below. If you'd like to know where to purchase these items, read up other people's reviews, look up in-depth ingredient information, yada yada, check out the description box. It is always a plethora of information. Before we get into the favorites from this past week, I do want to update those of you that are interested in how my dermatologist appointment went last Friday. I'll go ahead and put an annotation here somewhere on the screen, somewhere around here, to where to skip to if you want to skip this intro part here. That way you don't have to listen to it, but those of you that are interested, let's dive in. Okay. So I had mentioned in last week's video that I just think it's really important to go and have skin cancer screenings, if not on a yearly basis, at least every other year. I go on a yearly basis myself because I have a family genetic predisposition to potentially developing skin cancer with my biological dad side of the family having a history of it. My biological dad himself actually has had melanoma twice, and then I think some of his brothers have had some other types of skin cancer. Also just behaviorally, listen, I was a teenager in the 90s and a early adult in the early 2000s, and I lived for being as tan as humanly possible, which is funny based on the pasty look that I sport today. Like, I wouldn't dream of ever laying out in the sun at this point in my life, but man, did I love it back in the day. And the behavioral things that I did in terms of laying in tanning beds, laying on trampolines covered in baby oil, just again predisposed me to potentially having some type of skin cancer issue at some point in my life. It's not a guarantee, but it definitely increases the likelihood. So for me, I like to go every single year. Now, my dermatologist that I had been with for many, many years, I think I was with him for 6, 7, maybe even 8 years, he decided to move to an office over in Beaverton. Listen, I live in the Portland metro area. I live on the east side of the river. Beaverton is basically an hour drive from where I am at, and I would rather eat my own arm than sit in Portland traffic. And so instead of following this guy over to the Beav, I was like, I think I'm just gonna try out the new guy at the current practice, and it turns out he is fantastic. I love this guy. I think I actually like him even a little bit more than the last dermatologist. He's super young, super knowledgeable, and was so helpful in answering all of my questions and really reassured me that for right now, there is nothing that he is concerned about at all. As we were finishing up the appointment, he asked, hey, is there anything else that you would like addressed? Is there anything that you have questions about? And I took that moment to finally say, hey, what the hell is on my nose and on my chin? Because the last dermatologist did not tell me. He told me I had sebaceous hyperplasia, but I didn't know what this bump on my nose or this bump on my chin were. And so he was like, oh yeah, no, that's not any type of skin cancer, obviously. Otherwise, you know, we would have said something, but it's just a fibrous papule. And I was like, okay, well, what's that? What can I do about it? And he was like, it's just a collection of essentially collagen and blood vessels, and they just form bumps on your skin. Completely benign. You don't have to do anything about it. If you just leave it for the rest of your life, it'll just hang out on your face. They don't turn into skin cancer. They're just completely benign. He was like, do you want to remove it? One, both, either, whatever. What do you want it gone? And I was like, is that an option today? And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? It'll take me like 10 minutes. And I said, yes, let's do it. So he numbed up my nose, he numbed up my chin, and in a matter of seconds, just shaved them off. He shaved off the fibrous papules. Here's the thing. I do I will be, I guess, dealing with some scarring for the foreseeable future. But he said after about a year, it should mostly look like I didn't have anything done. Now, it's a little annoying with especially the spot on my nose because, as you can see, it was literally on the tip of my nose. This spot had been annoying me for a few years now, and I feel like it kind of developed out of nowhere. I just feel like one day I was like, why do I have a bump on my nose all of a sudden? Anyway, it was so easy to have him shave it off. He did send the samples off for biopsy just to make sure that it's not any type of skin cancer, and it was not completely benign. It was just the fibrous papule. So for the next about 6 to 8 months, this will continue to heal up. He did say that after about 2 weeks, I am free to put concealer on the spots if I want to, but that after about a year, it would look like essentially nothing had happened. So yeah, I'm no longer staring at a bump on my nose. I'm now staring at a little bit of a crater, quite honestly. He definitely had to, it was decently sized, I will say. The one on my chin was a lot smaller, and honestly, unless I'm like staring, I can't even really see the one on my chin, but the one on my nose is pretty prominent. So anyway, that's what that new spot is. I am happy to deal with the scar. As long as I'm not looking at the bump anymore, I'm totally good with it. But anyway, the moral of the story is I have nothing right now that this dermatologist is concerned about. I got rid of these fibrous papules, and if you too have some bumps on your face, it might just be a fibrous papule, in which case, again, you don't have to do anything. If it doesn't bother you, leave it. You don't have to do anything. But if you want to, this didn't hurt at all. Even after like the lidocaine had worn off, like, I don't know, maybe I don't have pain receptors on my nose or my chin, but it honestly doesn't feel like he did anything. So other than the scarring, this was just a very easy procedure, and I'm glad to have had it done. And I'm glad that, you know, I got in for the screening and that I have a little bit of peace of mind for the next year. He said, come back, you know, a year from now, we'll do another screening. He did warn me that they are booking about 11 months out. So I think actually next month I have to make the appointment for next September. So anyway, you guys, I feel really good about how that appointment went. I love the new dermatologist, and I am down 2 bumps on my face. So I call that a win. Anyway, let's get into these favorites. We're gonna start with perfume. All right. My 2 picks from this week are, oh, I guess I should turn it around. These 2 right here. The first is Ellis Brooklyn Raven. Okay, I have entered the amber patchouli phase of my year at this point. I love amber and patchouli as fragrance notes. I know they're not necessarily for everybody, but the patchouli that I'm talking about is not the dirty hippie patchouli. It's not earthy. It's not like musty smelling. I'm talking the beautiful perfumey patchouli. And I'm talking the warm resinous ambers. And this, oh, this is that amber on steroids. This is somewhat similar to the Bastide Ombre Marquis, but I think this one has just a little bit more depth to it. It is gorgeous, you guys. I'm already wearing it. I'm actually wearing it over top this fragrance here that we'll get to in a second, but these 2 pair really beautifully together. So if you have them both, you should try that combo. But Raven just on its own is absolutely stunning. I love Ellis Brooklyn fragrances. These are really long lasting on me. They are quite noticeable fragrances. And I tend to get a lot of compliments on both the Raven and the Myth. Those are the 2 that I have, and they are fabulous. I definitely will be trying more from this brand coming up here in 2025, but this fragrance here is stunning, and if you love the ambers, you gotta try this one. Okay, this next fragrance here is from a brand called Twist. You will have probably potentially seen this video yesterday talking about the Twist perfumes. I have 2 more fragrances that I will be reviewing next week. But this one here is a dupe for Armani C. This is Theater number 62. Now you can purchase Twist on Amazon. You can also find them on their own website, so I'll have it linked down below. But this Armani C is a really great interpretation, inspiration of, dupe of Armani C. It is, oh, this is lovely, you guys. I will say the original, I think, has a little bit more amber in it, but this is super, super close. Also, the size. This is 3.4 fluid ounces for, I think, it's either $35 or $45. I can't remember. It's one of those two. Even if it's $45, it is significantly less expensive than the Armani C, and this is cruelty-free. Armani is not. So listen, I would love to go purchase the Armani C, and hopefully someday they decide to go cruelty-free, in which case I will stop by Sephora that day to pick up another bottle of Armani. But this here, I don't know, it's way less expensive and honestly almost just as good. And the projection and the lasting power is fabulous. Listen, I think this brand is worth checking out. It's, again, another one of those dupe brands. So think Dossier, Alt, Okja, along the lines of those. This is really good. I'm really impressed with how long these last. And just the fragrances themselves, like in their own right, they're like really great fragrances, but they're also, I would say, pretty darn good dupes. So there's that. Next, let's move on to a drugstore hair care item that I was testing this week. Now, I am not going to be singing the highest praises of this product here, but I do think it's decent. It's decent. So how I came across the TRESemme One Step Volume 5-in-1 Volume Mist for Fine Hair was I saw it in a video that was done by Justin Hickox, I think is his name. He's a hairdresser. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with him. In fact, one of you recommended his channel to me, and I'm glad that you did. He does have a lot of content that discusses, you know, a lot of thickening and volumizing products for those of us with fine, thin hair. So I watched a few of his videos, and one of the first videos that I watched, he was doing this little like challenge, if you will, where he was testing out different volumizing sprays. So he had a couple of my favorites, and those performed pretty darn good. But he also featured this, and this TRESemme One Step Volume 5-in-1 Mist, I think was maybe around $8. Don't quote me on the price point, but it was very, very affordable. I picked this up at Target. Now, I've been testing it this week in a few different ways. So the first time I decided to go ahead and just try it on its own. So I used my Beauty Pie leave-in, and then obviously also before even putting the leave-in in my hair, I put my minoxidil on my roots. I just do that every single day. That's part of the routine. I'm not gonna skip it. So I just used this. I sprayed it throughout my hair. I will say the spray is not a super fine mist. I'm thinking of decanting this into, I kept the Color Wow, they had a volumizing spray. I kept the bottle because it had a really nice mist on it. I might try to decant this into that and see if that works. So this kind of like, it like splats out a little bit, if you will. So anyway, put it in my hair, ran a comb through it, blow dried my hair upside down, and then flipped it over, and wasn't crazy impressed. And then I thought, well, maybe I just didn't use enough, because you do need to use quite a bit of product to, you know, get the desired result with certain lines. So the next day I used more, probably twice as much. Blow dried my hair upside down, same thing, only the leave-in, only my minoxidil, and I still wasn't super impressed. So then I thought, okay, I think I just need to use this product alongside something else, and I decided to use it alongside my Kenra volumizing mousse. Actually, it was the Kenra thickening, the platinum thickening mousse, which is one of my holy grails. And that is when this product started to work a lot better for me. So here's the thing, this line does come with a mousse. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the mousse. I don't know why I just didn't grab that. I saw it at Target, but I just grabbed this. I'm gonna pick up the mousse, and then hopefully next week or the following week, I can report how the TRESemme mousse, which again is probably less than $10, and this, again, less than $10, how that compares to my current holy grail Kenra thickening mousse alongside the Kenra Volume 2 volumizing spray. Listen, I don't mind splurging on high-end hair care, but I know a lot of you guys don't want to do that necessarily. You just don't want to, or you can't afford to, or it's just not your thing. You would rather purchase from the drugstore. So I want to give you guys some more drugstore hair care recommendations. So I'm going to go ahead and try some more products from TRESemme. Also, Garnier is cruelty-free as well, so I'll try some things from Garnier as well and see if I can find some recommendations that would give some pretty good volumizing results. But today, I have the Kenra volumizing mousse and then the thickening spray here. I do think that my hair it's definitely more voluminous with the Kenra volume spray, but I don't think this is bad. My hair certainly still feels very silky. It feels smooth. It's still, you know, shiny. It doesn't feel sticky or anything like that. But I do feel like I had to use a lot more of this than I did of the Kenra volumizing spray. So that being said, I think this is worth checking out. I just think that I need to pick up the mousse as well. So, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up. If you are in the market for a volumizing spray and you don't want to spend more than 10 bucks, maybe check this one out. It definitely came highly recommended by Justin. So I just don't think that I had quite the same results that he did just with the spray itself. So I think for me, I probably need a couple different styling products to get the type of volume that I'm personally looking for. All right, let's move on to skincare. I finally finished my first bottle of this and I already put a backup of it in my bathroom. What is this? It's the Dermatology HPR Eye Cream. This is such a good retinate eye cream, you guys. I've been using this now for a few months religiously every single evening, and I love how my under eye area looks. I do not bring my tretinoin up close underneath my eye area here. First of all, you're not supposed to. Second of all, it would just be really drying. So this has been fantastic. I feel like this exfoliates this area super gently, and it really does a good job of kind of helping to get rid of those fine lines. I don't really have a lot of like eye wrinkles per se. I mean, when I smile, I don't get Botox around my eye area, just so you know. I get Botox in my forehead and I get it in my masseter muscles to stop from clenching and grinding my teeth. But I do not get Botox around this area here because I just don't have any wrinkles here. Like, this is just what my skin looks like at this point, and it's fine. But I do have some very fine lines that are just starting to form in this area here. And I think this has helped to lessen those pretty significantly. And just the first bottle that I've used, I repurchased it. This first one was sent to me from Dermatology. I am a Dermatology partner, so they did send me the first bottle when it was released. But I purchased the second one myself, and I will continue to repurchase it because it is that good, you guys. I have a discount code with them. It's for 20% off. I'll leave the information down below if you want to check this one out. I'm telling you right now, it is fabulous, and I will not be without it. So glad to have finished my first bottle, and it definitely was good enough for me to not want to stop using it. So let's go ahead and dive into the makeup favorites from this past week. And I'm gonna get started with the eyeshadow palette that I was focusing on using. And this week it was the LORAC Pro 2 palette. Now, for the last probably 6-7 weeks, I have really been honing in on using a lot of the LORAC eyeshadow palettes that I still have in my makeup collection. I have several of the Mega Pros, and I also have a number of just her Pro palettes. I loved LORAC back in the day, and now that I'm revisiting these eyeshadow palettes, I'm reminded that these are a great formula. I really enjoyed these. Not that you can still get them. She does have some other eyeshadows. I haven't tried the newer ones. I'm gonna assume they're similar. If they're not, definitely let me know. But these Pro palettes were fabulous, you guys. The LORAC Pro 2 was a little bit more of a cool tone palette. So this is it right here. And one thing I will say about the LORAC formulation is that it definitely is a little powdery. You will deal with some fallout from these. It's easy enough for me to brush that away, but if that's a frustration for you, then you would have probably hated these if you never tried them. That being said, the vibrancy of the shades, how long they last, just how beautiful they are, and honestly, a lot of these color stories just really appeal to me, and I still love these palettes. I think they're great. So I do disinfect my makeup periodically, and powder products in general do not tend to harbor bacteria the way cream products do. So I still feel very confident using these despite the fact that most of them are quite old at this point, but yeah, they're still working great. This is the eyeshadow palette that I'm wearing today. It's the one that I was wearing throughout the week, and it's a good one. If you have it, bust it out, enjoy it. All right, let's talk blush. I have two that I was focusing on using this week. They are both matte blushes, kind of similar in their coloring. This is the Patrick Ta Monochrome Moment Velvet Blush in She's Seductive, and this is the blush that I'm wearing today. So you can see this is just kind of a, I would say, slightly mauve-y nude type shade. This one's really easy to wear. The only thing that I find a little annoying about the Patrick Ta blushes is they do tend to develop hard pan pretty easily. So I feel like I have to scrape that off periodically, which is less than ideal for the price point, but this color is so gorgeous that I'm willing to deal with it. The other blush that I was using this week, these never develop hard pan. If you've never tried them, they're fantastic. Laura Geller. I love me some Laura Geller. Listen, I know she doesn't really get talked about a whole lot here on YouTube, but this is a fabulous makeup brand. I mean, the Balance and Brighten alone, I think, is just the best powder foundation ever, but her blushes are fantastic too. This is the shade Raspberry, and it is, again, a matte finish. This is the Baked Blush and Brighten, so this is what she calls her blushes. This one here has these gorgeous swirls, so you've got a nice nude mixed in there, you've got that kind of neat raspberry shade running throughout, and then a slightly lighter veining as well. These are essentially baked blushes, so the color payoff is fabulous on these. They start their life out as a cream product, and they are essentially just kind of squirted onto these terracotta tiles, and then they are baked, and you are left with the most stunning blush formulation. Listen, if this color doesn't float your boat, she's got a whole lot of other colors, and I would highly recommend checking them out. If you've never tried a Laura Geller blush, go do it. It's absolutely worth it. I love her. All right. Let's talk Laura Geller one more time with this favorite here. This is the Baked Blurring and Setting Powder in the shade Porcelain Fair. So I love using this as my finishing powder. I have essentially just taken a fluffy brush. This one here is the BK Beauty 103 brush. And what I'll do after I'm done with all of my makeup is just take a little bit of it and then like kind of almost highlight my face. It just gives me like the most beautiful glow to my skin, and it never looks glittery or overdone. I just think it gives the prettiest finish to my skin. This kind of reminds me of the Hourglass ambient lighting powders, these guys here. This one is Ethereal Light. It's not the same shade as this, but they look very similar in terms of the finish once I get these on my skin. And I think the wear time is pretty much exactly the same from both of these. And this one's less expensive. So if you're in the market, this one actually I think looks a lot like Diffused Light. Let me find that. I have it. Let's pull it out. Come here. Okay, this is the Hourglass in, they're not quite the same, but same enough. I wear both of these shades, and they're both kind of the perfect color match for me. Ethereal Light, I think it's just a little bit more pale. This is the Diffused Light, and this is the Ethereal Light here. So anyway, we're not talking about these, we're talking about the Laura Geller. This is fantastic, and it's usually, listen, Laura Geller is always having a sale on her website, so if you want to try this, it's probably on sale this weekend. I'll link it down below. Check it out. Okay, let's talk a setting powder. So I actually use my setting powders a little bit different. So I will apply my SPF, let that fully settle into my skin for about 15 minutes, and then before going in with my Laura Geller powder foundation, I like to do a layer of a setting powder. This original mineral veil is fabulous because it is insanely finely milled, so it has that really smooth, like amazing texture to it. What I love about this formula is that it helps to blur the look of the pores on my face, especially the pores that are on my cheeks, nose, forehead, listen, my whole face is just pores. That was my lot in life. I got enlarged pores. It's fine. I deal with it. But yeah, I just like to do a light layer of that all across my face. Then I go in with my powder foundation, and it almost helps my powder foundation go on better. And it helps with a little bit of extra oil absorption. It's just a fantastic way to essentially set your SPF, but just make sure that you give that SPF an adequate amount of time to really settle into your skin before you go in with any of your makeup products. But if you have never tried this particular setting powder, it's really worth giving the old college try, you guys. It is fantastic. Bare Minerals has been around for eons. I remember ordering Bare Minerals from QVC. I think back then they called it Bare Essentials. But I remember ordering this stuff from QVC in like the early 2000s. They also had infomercials. I'm sure you remember them, but yeah. Old Leslie Blodgett, whatever happened to her? I think she sold the company, but all right. One more thing to mention, and it is the lip product that I was sporting for most of this week. I have it on again today. It is the Hourglass. I don't remember what they're called because I peeled a little sticker off the bottom. I think the shade is Provoke, but this is just the Hourglass lip gloss. I think they only have one line, so this is it. And I think the shade is Provoke, but check the description box. I will confirm that. This is a really beautiful, like, pinky nude that is so easy to wear when you're like, hey, what's going on with my eyes? What should I pair with this? Just wear this. It's so easy. So whether you have a really bold, colorful eye, or whether you have a really, you know, maybe like nude eye look, this just looks good with whatever eye look I am sporting, and it has a nice texture to it. Definitely a thinner formula. Smells great, smells kind of minty, but gives you like some decent like color payoff for sure, but it's not heavy feeling on the lips at all. The fact that it's such a thin formula, I think really lends itself to feeling fabulous on the lips. So anyway, those are my favorites from this week. I so appreciate you guys being here. Let me know if you have any questions. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.